All right, good morning, y'all. Hopefully it's not too windy. I'll test the sound out on this and make sure it's not as I'm walking out here. I like to walk and talk for some reason. I got some thoughts I want to share today, and I don't know what the heck I did in previous years as far as like a New Year's post, but it was probably super happy and positive and motivational or something like that. And this is definitely meant to be inspiring and motivational, but it's also meant to be a little realistic and a little bit of a wake-up call. I'm going to do my best to say what I want to say here, and I think you're going to get the gist of what I'm trying to do. So I had, first of all, I got to see a sunrise this morning, the first sunrise of 2021, and it was great. Me and Arnica and Conan were sitting there on the side of some steps in my favorite little spot, and I had this really surreal moment where it was like part of me, I always see these holidays and birthdays and things as just another day. Like I still come in, I work out, I work in the office, and then you also can't help but feel the meaning that you've put on it throughout your lifetime and the meaning that other people put on it. And it's just a really interesting dynamic, you know. In one sense it is just another day, and in another sense it's the beginning of a new year. And it really is a chance to possibly have a new beginning or a recommitment to things. It feels like a fresh beginning and a fresh start, so it's really conducive to making some good big changes. So I think we need to take advantage of that when we can, you know. So you know, there was a few podcasts I've listened to over the past few weeks, and I wanted to share some thoughts around them, and I just feel compelled to do this. I don't know why. And I don't know if this is going to come out right or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. And I want to preface this with, I am so optimistic about life. I am healthier and happier than I have ever been in my entire life. I've never been so dialed in with food. I've never been so happy with the fitness program that my good friend here, Colby, has put together, and his coaches. My sleep is awesome. My health markers, I have love in my life. Like, you know, everything about my life is so great. I'm so optimistic about the future of the SHT. We've got this amazing online community that's going to continue to get better and better and better as more people get into it. I'm so excited and happy with it, you know. And at the same time, I'm also realistic about what's happening in this world and what's happening to us as a human species, or whatever you want to call that. And in a lot of ways, it doesn't look good. And that's why it's more important now than ever for you to take control of your own personal health. So let me just share a few thoughts, and I hope I say this right. Please, Lord, come on. Or please, whatever's out there. So first, there was an interview on Paul Saladino's podcast where he interviewed Frank von Hippel, who is a toxicology expert, environmental, toxin expert. And oh man, I was tearing up throughout this whole thing. And there's some big takeaways. So I highly encourage you to just listen to it. But just some things that I took out of that. Number one, the population of this planet is already past what we can handle. I mean, you think about the population of humans 100,000 years ago, estimated maybe 50,000 people. And then, what was it, in 1900s, it was around, I think it was 1.5 billion. And then we look at here, 2018, 2019, 2020, we're at 7.5 to 8 billion people on this planet. That's a lot of people. And the only way that we are feeding this population is because of modern agriculture and processed food and the food industry. That's it. That's the only way that we're doing this. And that means that we are feeding and sustaining an overpopulated planet with a non-species appropriate diet. So in reality, we are keeping this massive population alive and at the cost of their own personal health. And we see it everywhere. Everyone, I mean most people, not everyone. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people have poor health. It's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I care. I want to help. But anyway, that was one of the big takeaways. You know, we just have this massive population that's not declining. And that means that we're opening ourselves up to something really big and bad happening at some point. Another big thing that I took away from that was we have burdened the planet with this massive toxic overload, and we cannot escape it. It's unavoidable. No matter how clean you are with your diet, no matter how clean you are with your home, you cannot escape exposure to these damaging toxins. And we're even impacting people who have nothing to do with this modern world. People in the Arctic zones and in very primitive populations, everyone is being exposed to the toxins that this modern world is producing. So some things that I thought about coming out of that podcast was, number one, as far as the population goes, and this is said with a lot of love and compassion, and like, just hear me out on this. If you're thinking about having kids, really think about having kids. Really think about whether you want to have kids or not. I think a lot of us get into this mode of we think that we're supposed to. We're supposed to grow up and have a certain job. We're supposed to grow up and do certain things. We're supposed to grow up and get married and have kids. And maybe that's not true. Maybe you don't have to if you don't want to. Really think about whether you want to have kids or not. Really think about whether you want to add to this massive population and how much you want to add to it. If you want to have a kid or if you want to have 2 kids. And I know I'm speaking to a lot of people who already have kids, and I think that's great. I love people, I love families, I love kids, okay? I am so thankful and lucky that I don't have an unplanned child, because I was a very irresponsible and reckless freaking young person, okay? So I get it. And a lot of us maybe didn't have the awareness, the ability to sit and really think things through, you know? So if you already have kids, it's great. All right, I'm just saying, if you're in a position of thinking about having a kid or having more kids, really, really, really put some thought into it. And if you're gonna have kids, I think you gotta have your finances straight, and you have to have your own personal health figured out. Because if you're gonna have kids, if I was gonna have a kid, you would want to instill the proper way of eating and the proper way of moving and a meditation and mindfulness practice and a reverence and a placing importance on sleep. If you're gonna have a kid, you wanna have a kid that is raised, that is extremely healthy, so that that kid can contribute to the greater good of this planet, because that's what we need. We need more people like us, or that are trying to be real foodies and extremely healthy, because that is what is going to turn this whole thing around. It's the only thing that's going to turn this whole thing around, is this movement of people that are committed to optimizing their personal health. And so again, if you're going to have kids, make sure you're in a position to do it, and be committed to your own personal health so that you can commit to the personal health of this young person, so this young person can grow up and contribute in a positive way to the craziness that this world is, versus being a part of the mass unhealthy hysteria situation. I don't know how else to word that, okay? Another takeaway is from this that toxicity podcast is that you have to control everything that you can control in your experience. So that means, home cleaners, swap out your dish detergent, your laundry detergent, your home cleaners, with more natural solutions and less toxic versions. I have a whole YouTube series on that. It's also in our community. Control what you can control, because you and we are exposed to so much stuff. We have to give our body a fighting chance. The reality is that even if you do everything perfect, even if you eat perfect and you sleep perfect and you meditate and you feel like your health is spot on, you're not guaranteed anything, because we are being overburdened with toxicity. So control what you can control, and again, be as healthy as you can, because you have to give your body a fighting chance, okay? Now, that's the takeaways from that first podcast. The second podcast, actually there's 2 podcasts. Rob Wolf did a salty talk on his podcast, The Healthy Revolution. and it was great. And by the way, Rob Wolf, I've followed him since 2009, 2010, before he ever came out with his first book, The Paleo Solution. He also wrote the Wired to Eat book. Both are New York Times bestsellers and are really good books. And I've always loved him. He's been very controversial, but very real, And so he did Salty Talk on his podcast. I'll share links with it. And then he also got interviewed on Peak Human. And I really love that one too. By the way, that podcast, they talk a lot about nutrition and food. Totally confirms a lot of what we're doing with the SHT. Like, we're spot on. Like, we're the way that we're thinking about nutrition and stuff is just we're just doing so many things right, and we're constantly evolving. That's what I love about what we're doing. We're constantly evolving our message and the way that we think about things. So, but anyway, we're being bombarded with information from a million different directions, and you think about where most people get their information is from news and social media news, and that is not news. It's not balanced information. I hope you understand this. It is manipulated, it is curated, it is designed to steer you in a certain direction, and you just need to be aware of that. I would say don't participate in it to the best of your abilities. But it's like we need to have open discussions about things, but it's not balanced open discussions that you're seeing when you see news and you see these ads on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. It is perpetuating a very specific message, and I think the more that you can stay away from that stuff, the better. It's interesting because I look around at what's happening, and as far as news goes and the discussion around news and what we're hearing, it seems like a lot of craziness and hysteria. And then I look at what's happening in my own personal experience and the experience of other people, and it's not that. There's this weird disconnect between what we're seeing, the severity and the violence and the craziness and the just all the bad stuff that you see on the news, and then you see what's happening in your immediate experience. And I'm not saying there's not people that are suffering. I got friends and family members and loved ones that are suffering and have suffered, and we all do, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Like, there just seems to be some kind of a disconnect there. And I think another big thing that I took away from his discussions is that, along the same lines as that first podcast, we can't keep going this way as a species. We can't keep going this way as this human species. Something is going to happen. I don't know what. And again, not trying to sound pessimistic at all. This is just very realistic. Something is going to happen. Look at the political system. Look at the financial system. Look at the health of the majority of the modern population. I don't know what it is. If it's a citywide, nationwide, worldwide disaster, a true pandemic that decimates a lot of the human population, a huge financial collapse, the consolidation of different countries under one system, like, who knows what this is going to look like? But I have a feeling that sometime in our lifetime, in my lifetime, something big is going to happen. I mean, what we're going through right now is one of the biggest, weirdest experiences that all of us have experienced, but something is going to happen, and I don't know what it is. And I think what I want to say with that is, and again, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, because I am so thankful for my health and for what I'm doing and this opportunity that I have to help further the destiny of other people, with this powerful information that we're putting together. And I'm excited about the future of what I'm doing in the SHT and just like the possibilities. And, I just got done renewing my intentions and reverbalizing all my prayers and affirmations and all that stuff. So I'm very excited about things, but also very realistic. It seems like something is going to happen. And so what do we do with that? Well, again, I think the best thing that you can do is figure out your own personal health. I think that is the most important thing that you can do. Because as we're already seeing in this pandemic that we're in with COVID, the people that are struggling the most are the people that have poor metabolic health, and they're just unhealthy in general. And the people that it's not that big a deal for, and I know that there's some extenuating circumstances and some anomalies, but for the majority of people that are extremely healthy and real foodies and have good metabolic health, it just doesn't seem to be that big an issue. And that's just one example. And so what I'm saying is, it is more important now than ever to focus on your own personal health and get that figured out. Because a better you is better for any pandemic, citywide, nationwide, worldwide emergency, financial collapse, I mean, you name it. If you have the skills to survive and thrive with real food and understanding what you need to do to sleep and meditate, those are skills that you're going to take with you into any situation, and you're going to be better for everything that you want to contribute to in the future, or contribute to that you care about, and you're going to be better equipped for any situation that comes your way in the future. All right. So how do you do that? Well, of course, I got to make a shameless plug for what we have going on. I mean, next weekend, Saturday, January 9th, we have the kickoff for our most latest and greatest masterclass we call Mastering Real Food for a Freaking Lifetime. You can take out the freaking, but it's the best of the best of what we got when it comes to nutrition. And the great thing about it is we teach you everything that you need to know to master real food for a lifetime, and we teach you about all the popular fad methodologies. And I just want to say this right now. Vegan and plant-based is not the way to go. I wish it was. I wish vegan and plant-based were, they sound like such great little stories, They sound like, I think I lost, hold on a second. My camera lost. Can I change this? Move it up, there we go. Vegan and plant-based sound like such clean, sweet, nice stories. And I wish that it were that easy and that simple, but it's not the way that we're meant to be. Our evolutionary past and our digestive system clearly dictate what it is that we're supposed to eat and how we're supposed to eat. And it's not animal-based either. I think it's a balance. And I think there's a lot of experimenting that can happen in that huge spectrum there, and that's what we facilitate. But the reason I'm bringing up this plant-based thing is because I encounter it all day, every day. We are still considered very controversial because we embrace animal food so much, and we embrace traditional fats so much. And I'm excited to be a part of something that's slightly rebellious because it works and it's the truth. And at the same time, I feel like a lot of people get sucked into this vegan plant-based methodology because it sounds so great. And yes, if you transition into plant-based or vegan from eating just a crappy diet, of course you're going to feel better and see results. Anything that you switch to that's going to make you dial in your nutrition and eat cleaner is going to give you some results. But what we want is what's optimal. Again, we want to give the body a fighting chance. And so we're not interested in what just barely works. We want what is the best. And what's the best is the way that we teach in the SHT. I feel like there's one other thing that I wanted to say around that. Yeah, well, one of the realizations that I had here recently, first of all, we have a survival class that we're hosting in March, on March 14th. I'll be putting that out here pretty soon. And it's a 2-day class, right? But I've been out on several hikes recently in some really crappy weather. I remember being up in Utah, up on the top of a mountain watching the sunrise, and me and a couple of friends were looking around, and I was like, man, like if I was out here starving for weeks, months, like I don't know anything out here that I could eat that's plant-based. I don't know that you would survive if you were trying to be a vegan out in the wild. That's the reality of it. If I was out starving and I've been out there without food for 2 weeks, I'd be looking for an animal to kill. I'd be looking for some fish. And I think the only way that we can make vegan or plant-based work is because we are in this modern world with modern grocery stores, and we have the ability to buy anything and everything that we want any time of day. And the reality is that I just don't think that's optimal. And again, I'm not saying that we're supposed to be animal-based. I'm not carnivore-based. I am an advocate for balance. And I'm also an advocate for experiments and facilitating experiments, which is why, just to circle it back, when we teach real food the SHT way, we teach, first of all, it's always evolving based on current science and methodologies that are coming out. But we also teach about all these popular methodologies, and we experiment with them. I think if you're going to call yourself a real foodie, if you're going to call yourself someone who is committed to nutrition and optimizing health for a lifetime, you can't just be on one side and that's it. You have to experiment with everything, and I've done that. We've done that. A lot of us have done that. We've been vegan, plant-based. We've done our experiments. I was a vegan for 2 years, but I mean, even with people that go through our progressions, we recommend experimenting with 2 to 4 weeks of plant-based. We recommend 2 to 4 weeks of animal-based and carnivore-based, and we help facilitate that. And so you have to educate yourself on all sides to truly call yourself a real foodie and to truly call yourself someone who's committed to optimal health. So anyway, that's part of what you learn when you work with us. So when you sign up for our little masterclass, you get a year's worth of access to our online membership and our online community, Superhumans United. And in that community, that's what we do. We facilitate education, experience, and support for an entire year. You know, we have this calendar for the year. Every month we have a topic and a theme, and it bounces around from, you know, the first couple months is obviously focused on this master class in nutrition, but then we go to sleep and mindfulness and surviving outdoors and anything and everything that you need to be healthy. And it's just an amazing place of education, experience, and support. So that's my shameless plug for that. And now I'm coming back in here. Got to readjust. So let me just finish what I want to say here with what I want to say. I guess the last thing I want to say is that now is the time to focus on your personal health. This world is freaking crazy. It's the craziest that it's ever been. And at the same time, you still have the ability to choose what you do for your own personal health. You have the ability to choose the way that you eat. You can work out, you can meditate, you can learn how to optimize your sleep. And so regardless of what's happening around you, and regardless of what happens in the future and what comes down the pipeline, no matter how good or bad those situations are, a healthier you is going to be better equipped to deal with any of that stuff. And so I challenge you to join us. Join us in our movement. Rediscover how you were meant to live. There is no other way, because our way is the best of all ways, and it's always evolving and updating. Join us for this progression kicking off this coming Saturday. Join our online community. Be a part of something amazing. We are committed to supporting you throughout the entire process because it's what we're here to do. Okay? Hope that was useful. We'll talk to you guys soon. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or snide remarks. One more thing, if you're still here with me, I'm going to share the lyrics to a song that I just cannot get enough of. It's called Pneuma by Tool. And considering everything that we just talked about, this is what I just talked about. This stuff is always on my mind. And I just want us to remember, I want us to rediscover how we were meant to live. I want us to rediscover how happy we were meant to be and how fulfilled we were meant to be with the gift of health. And this song by Pneuma, if you put in your earphones and you just listen to it and you read the lyrics without watching, I don't know what the YouTube version of it is, what kind of pictures there are, if you just listen to it and read the words as you're listening to it, you will probably tear up just like I do every time I hear it. Because, they say wake up, remember, we are all one breath, one word, and one spark, sun becoming. All right, y'all take care.